What's going on, Sasuke? Hex from Team Portuguese Regrets here. I saw your question that you posted, so I thought I'd come on here and kind of give you some advice based on what I saw on your Elemental Hero deck. You've kind of fallen into the trap. Elemental Heroes have a lot of support cards. They have a ton. I mean, they have more support cards than probably any other build. In fact, Elemental Hero Neos literally does have more support cards than any other single card out there. So you kind of get the picture. There's a lot of cards that you can pick from. The trick with running a successful Elemental Hero deck, I feel, is not really picking many of them. It's picking very few, picking as few as you can, running them in multiple copies, and then seeing where that gets you. That said, I'm going to go kind of over some of the things that have worked very successfully for me to kind of give you a couple of ideas of where to go with your deck. I've got some notes down here from your video about some of the cards that you use and maybe what you could think about replacing them with. That said, I don't know exactly what your budget is, nor exactly what cards you have. So if any of the suggestions I give just seem beyond the pale of reasonable, like, dude, I can't afford that, well then let me know, and then I can help you come up with maybe something else to put in its place, because I know it's tough to play this game on a budget. So I see you have Stratus. I think you need to spam this guy. This guy is really good. Go with that guy. Keep him. And I noticed that you're running a Heat. Now, that's pretty good too. In my build, you'll notice that beyond that, the only other heroes I run are 9 others. I run 3 Ocean, I run 3 Neos Alias, and 3 Ice Edge. The reason that I do that is because I think when it comes to the extra deck monsters, you need to kind of decide which ones you want to go with. Now, recently, there's been hardcore availability of Absolute Zero, who is, to me, the win condition of my deck, and also Great Tornado. Along with Nova Master, who, right there, and then Gaia, who I don't actually run, plus The Shining. Now, these are the 4 or 5 that I just mentioned, are the ones I would probably go for because they're the easiest to get into. You really don't have to worry about, okay, I need Avian and I need Burstinatrix, or I need Clayman and I need, you know, Burstinatrix, or I need, like Terra Firma, Woodsman and what is it? Ocean? I think it's Woodsman and Ocean. Yeah, you know, you really don't want to have to worry about that. Plus, their effects aren't great in comparison. Like Absolute Zero, he leaves the field at all for any reason whatsoever. All of your opponent's monsters are done. All right, so they're gonna think twice before they do anything at all. Or Great Tornado. If your opponent's got like a wall of hardcore stuff up that you can't find a way past, you summon Great Tornado out. Boom, they're done. Nova Master too. If you find yourself on the offensive and you're attacking them hard, you can get yourself a card every single time. And plus the Shining's crazy good. There's a reason he's one of the most expensive elemental heroes you can buy. He's nuts. And that's why I really focus my my build around getting those. So you might consider kind of toning down the number of monsters that you run, because you run a lot that I probably never run, like Necroshade. I wouldn't run him. And the regular ones I wrote down over here. You run like Burstinatrix, you know, Burstinatrix, and some of the other ones that don't have an effect. Probably not worth running because they don't give you anything. They have no effect. They have to get to your hand. They have like some kind of something going on for you, but they aren't helpful even a little bit. So that's why you want to run guys like Ocean. You'll almost never use Ocean's effect. If you have, you probably aren't going to be happy that he's sitting out there on the field, but it's there. You never know when it'll come in handy. Or Ice Edge. Ice Edge is crazy good, especially with Miracle Fusion. I mean, assuming that you don't draw into anything to polymerize first turn except for Miracle Fusion, throw Ice Edge out there, dump an elemental hero to your graveyard, attack him directly. They're going to lose a back row, or they're going to spend a back row trying to stop you. And even if they send Ice Edge to the graveyard, oops, looks like I got Miracle Fusion, you know. And that's another thing I want to talk about. You're running the polymerization build, using polymerization to get your guys from the extra deck. I wouldn't do that. I really wouldn't. You have 1 copy of Fusion Gate, go up to 3. I run 3, and if you're thinking about Parallel World Fusion, I think that 3 is an absolute necessity. I run 3 and a Terraforming to get into them because they're that important. Plus, in terms of my traps, I run a Dark Bribe And in terms of my spells, I run an MST, and those are pretty much there saved just in case someone else tries to play another field spell, or the Dark Bribes in case they try and MST the field spell, because I feel that it's that important. It's one of the most important things that you have. To finish up in terms of monsters that you might think about, I run 3 Reborn Tengu. If you think that you might want to go as Great Tornado as like your boss monster, so to speak, your win condition monster, you really can't do better than these. That said, if you don't have them, I might wait for them to get reprinted or go down in cost, and I don't know when that's going to happen, if that's ever going to happen. I got them back when they were 5 as a promo card, so I got lucky there. I run 2 Effect Veiler. If you don't have any Effect Veiler, well, first of all, he gets you into the Shining very easily, and also he can stop Trish, and he can stop anything else that you're gonna wish hadn't gone off on you. If you don't have any Effect Veiler, don't worry, because the special edition for Order of Chaos is actually going to have Effect Veiler as one of the cards you get along with the 3 packs. Also, Winged Dragon of Ra, kind of useless. And then I pulled this Max C out of a pack, and I run that in there just to keep it as competitive as possible. I probably should run Gaia with him. If you have a Max C, you should think about throwing it in. If you don't spend like $60 on it, because then you'll be like the commander, and who wants to make that? But yeah, the 3 Fusion Gate, I run 2 Miracle, because I think 3 is kind of overkill. If you're running Fusion Gate, chances are you're not going to have much in your graveyard, and the problem with Miracle is they either have to be on the field or in the graveyard, whereas with Polymerization or Fusion Gate, you just get them from your hand. You're going to find that you'll get a lot more consistency, though, if you're using Fusion Gate rather than Polymerization. The Parallel World Fusion, I know you said you ordered 3, you probably don't need 3. I run 2, and I find that when I run 3, I used to run 3, when I ran 3, I always ended up with a dead draw in my hand. It was always dead. I remember one game I started with 3 of them in my hand, and I just, I entered the scoop phase. It was terrible. A card that's recent that I don't know, maybe you don't know about, but you should think about is Mask Change. I run 2 of these things. If you run Absolute Zero, if you run Ocean, if you run any of the water monsters, or any of the fire monsters, there are 2 masked heroes out right now that you can change out using this. There are other masked heroes coming, I believe. One particular is called Masked Hero Acid, who is also water, if I'm not mistaken, and he's like Heavy Storm. So it's kind of crazy. You can destroy all their monsters and their back row and then attack them. It's pretty cool. But the best thing about Mask Change is if they're going to get rid of your Absolute Zero somehow, or, if they're going to try and get around your water monsters, you just throw a water monster out there. Mask Change in Masked Hero Vapor, who I run 2 of. His effect's not great. He's 2400 and he can't be destroyed by card effects. If his attack was a little higher, that might matter, but you'll find that you can get some kind of like cool trick attacks off that way. So I would go with that, especially because it gives you the power to destroy using Absolute Zero a lot easier. You can actually go into your battle phase, attack with Absolute Zero, switch out using Mask Change, boom, all their monsters are dead, and you have Vapor, and you can attack again. In terms of E, I only run 2, because 1, Stratos works as another E, and also I find that, I don't really have trouble getting into the monsters in this deck. I have trouble kind of getting into the spells that I need. But again, you're going to want to try and dump down to as many spells as you can. You want to get as generic as you can. I noticed that you run a lot of non-generic stuff, like Hero Signal and Mirror Gates. My encouragement to you would be to think about cards that would work generically no matter what is in your hand. So instead of like Bottomless Trap Hole, try and get your hands on some of the $6 Solemn Warnings that came out. I think Solemn Warning is one of the most useful cards you can get. I would definitely replace your Bottomless with that. Magical Mallet. I think Magical Mallet is probably a pill for the symptom of the fact that you're trying to run too many different things. So I would, if I were you, probably try to get rid of enough stuff, kind of make your deck a little more uniform so that you don't really have to worry about running Magical Mallet and like reloading your stuff back to your deck and like praying. Because Magical Mallet is a -1 in terms of cards, and you really don't want that. Also, Sakuretsu Armor. If you have Dimensional Prison, run that. If not, run a second Magic Cylinder. You can pick one up really cheap, and I think it will be more useful to you. I don't remember if you were running a Dark Hole. Run a Dark Hole. I think a Dark Hole is super helpful. And also a Smashing Ground, I would think about replacing one of these other ones, including the Field Spell, because, I mean, I know you already ordered more in terms of Skyscraper. I don't think Skyscraper is going to help. I don't run Skyscraper. I don't think Skyscraper is useful. I think you want to run 3 Fusion Gate. But I run Smashing Ground to get around some of the bigger stuff that you're going to have trouble getting around, especially stuff like Archlord Christia, who stops you from special summoning. And that's like the lose condition for your deck if you can't special summon. Like I said, I got the 2 warnings, and also the 2 Magic Cylinders. I really can't value that enough. Commander Covington, also on our channel, thinks that Magic Cylinder is a worthless card. I think Magic Cylinder has won me more games by having my opponents kill themselves than I care to mention. I don't remember if you ran a Torrential Tribute. I don't think I saw one. Torrential Tribute also really good. If you put out nothing and your opponent summons, and you have Torrential, bam, gone. Or maybe you have 1 or 2 monsters and your opponent's starting to mow you down, bam, Torrential Tribute. That is a card that I consider to be a staple. My Kinka Piper deck runs 3 traps, 2 are Solemn Warning, 1 is Torrential Tribute. That is how important I think it is. And then a final trap card kind of suggestion for you, and I would definitely run this over Sakuretsu Armor, over a lot of the other stuff I saw in your deck. Compulsory Evacuation Device. Compulsory Evac is really useful. You'll be able to get rid of XYZ monsters. You'll be able to get rid of Synchro monsters. And it's a major negative for your opponent. If they've spent 2 monsters to get, you know, let's say Cat Daddy or any of the other Synchros on the field, and then you just send it back to the extra deck using Compulsive Evac, it doesn't make them happy. XYZ's even worse. They get even more upset because they lose the effects for the detach and lose the materials, and they're back to square one. Plus, it can stop an attack in a pinch and just put a monster back in their hand. And, you know, it never hurts. And that's why I main one. I didn't pull my side deck out here. Some other cards you might consider: Chain Disappearance, Soul Release for graveyard, stuff like that. So, to kind of sum up and finish, I guess my main tips are kind of solidify what you want your build to be. You got a lot of stuff going on because there are way too many elemental heroes to work with. So I would pick perhaps 4 or 5 elemental heroes that you want to run in triplicate in your side deck, and then run only those. And I would encourage you to run the ones that are easiest to get into. So your Great Tornado, your Absolute Zero, the Shining, Gaia, and Nova Master, easiest to get into, probably the best ones to run. They probably have, for the ease of getting into them, the best effects that you're going to get. Solidify your spell choice. Again, try and run as many cards in triplicate or duplicate as possible. The more of that you do, the more successful I find builds are, because you get more consistency. Say you're running one of the hero mask card to try and change their name, but you only run one. Like, how are you going to get into that when you really need it? Elemental heroes kind of require a down payment of saying, I'm going to choose this card, I'm going to choose this card, and I'm going to choose this card. So all of this really advice is kind of leading you to that. In terms of monsters, same thing. Pick 4 or 5 monsters that you're going to run in triplicate, and then run a couple in single. Obviously, Stratos, you can only run one, otherwise it'd be totally broken. That's the kind of thing that you want to do. Like, the only monster that I run in terms of a hero not in triplicate is Heat, and that's because I only run one Nova Master. But yeah, you have options. I mean, take a look at them. Some of the best elemental heroes are Voltic, Prisma. Prisma's pretty good. Alias. But I would definitely run Alias over the other 2 lights, simply because Alias has 1900 attack, and you could also consider using Gemini Spark, which is a really good card. I think that I have, in a very roundabout way, gotten to most of the things I wanted to say about your deck. If you have any more questions, please drop us a line on Team Portuguese Regrets channel page. Thanks for watching.